Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting. Be bold, be brave, be extraordinary, be vulnerable, be real, be curious, be true, be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Catherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Catherine McIntosh.
All right, my magical friends, we are back for another show. And as always, it might be a doozy. So every week we do these, or I do these shows, because I really believe that if we trust ourselves, if we start listening to our intuition, if we start trusting our gut, that initial reaction that we have to most things, it can really set us up for success. And today's topic is a topic that I resist. So we're going to talk about it because I think it's really fascinating. And so I'm not a trained medical person. I am a trained psychologist, but I'm not a licensed psychologist. And I'm just been an intuitive in life and in my business really since I was a little kid. And I remember at one point my coaches, especially my senior year in high school, my soccer coach, he used to say, "Why can't everyone be more like Catherine?" And I was like, "Oh God, that's embarrassing," right? And at the same time, he'd embarrass me in other ways and not appropriate ways. But he was basically like not even talking about something, but pointing something out that I had that I didn't really know I had because it was just normal for me. And I would know where the ball was going before the ball would be there. I would know where to be before, like, I just knew how to read the field, where to be, how to be, and it set me up to be really successful in soccer. And then in other areas of my life, I was pretty crap at trusting my gut, at listening to my intuition because I had self doubt. And that self doubt led to me looking to others for validation, looking to others for direction or them knowing more than I do. At least that's what I thought. And I really believe that if you start to practice, because this isn't just something you're like, oh, yay, it's done. It's like going to the gym. You don't just go once and then you're fit for life, right? You practice. And so we have to practice how to listen to our intuition, how to cultivate a practice in which we're trusting those goosebumps and those yes moments and those sort of closed off contractive moments, because those are the way in which our body is always communicating to us. And so the topic we're going to talk about today is sort of an addition onto that that will help you get really clear on creating your best life. Because the truth is, we didn't come here to live a mediocre life. We didn't come here just to survive. We didn't come here to constantly live out our trauma and dramas, although sometimes we do, right? We came here to live the best life ever, to evolve, to grow, to expand, to play, to have fun, to enjoy the process of living. And I really believe that too many people right now, it's starting to shift a little bit, but too many people right now are focused on the wrong thing. They're focused on the external result. Where's the car? Where's the wife? Where's the husband? Where's the, $10 million business? Where's the house in the Hamptons? And in that focusing on the result, we tend to be externally focused. When you're externally focused, you stop listening to your intuition. You stop trusting those subtle communicative moments that your body is always having with you. And I believe our body's always talking to us. I believe our spirit's always talking to us. I believe the universe is always talking to us. And the universe wants you to be abundant, happy, healthy, wealthy, successful in all areas. But don't go looking for the external success first. Go looking for the internal. And when you start to cultivate an inside energy inside of you that is full of joy and surprise and exuberance and enthusiasm and inspiration and whatever other energies you really want to be living on a daily basis, then the external manifests way quicker. And so today's topic, we're going to be talking about something that, as a trained psychologist, I really resisted this when we sort of looked at it in grad school. And it was on the topic of boundaries and setting boundaries. And most therapists will talk about, well, you need to have boundaries. And the reason I resisted it is because I watched sort of the dark side of how boundaries can be played out that can lead to toxic interactions, that can lead to trauma and drama, that can lead to unpleasant experiences. And so I've been looking at this topic lately for a while, especially since I've been doing this online course called the Life Shift Awakening System. It's all about letting go of your people pleaser. It's all about setting a clear container for yourself. It's all about going after your dreams, lowering your cortisol, getting connected with your body, and really truly living your best life. And I had no idea how deeply rooted people pleasing is in most people's universes, that prevents them from sort of connecting and succeeding on the path to their dreams. Because what happens is we start looking for external validation, we start looking for external approval, we start looking at our friends and their opinions. And the truth is, nobody knows more about your life than you. Nobody knows more about your body than you. You might have guides or people that sort of support your process, but the truth is, you're the only one that can decide for you the best solution for you. And sometimes we get stuck. I get stuck all the time, right? Especially in personal relationships. That's my sort of measure. And so today we're going to talk about boundaries from a very different perspective. This is just my perspective. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the medical field. I am not a trained, or I'm a trained psychologist, but not a licensed psychologist. So this is just my opinion from working with people all over the world for the last 20 years, working with their bodies, working with their relationships, working with their businesses, helping them with their homes. There's sort of anything and everything that I can do because I like to read the energy, call out sort of the blind spots, and then support someone making the best choice for them. I'm never interested in being right. I don't necessarily know the right answer ever, right? Even sometimes including myself, but the process is to uncover and keep practicing, right? Practicing listening to your intuition, practicing making those choices, practicing paying attention to your internal world as well as the world around you. And when you focus on your internal world and you practice the essence of receiving, because most of us are really good askers, but we're not good at receiving, right? And so, this topic of boundaries is for me all about setting a really clear container for you so that you can receive the life that you're asking for. And a lot of people say, work hard. Yes, you have to work hard, right? There is an element of working hard, but there's also an element of getting energetically aligned. And when you're setting a boundary for yourself, not for others, right? This is not about boundary for others because that creates toxic interactions. It can create trauma and drama. It can sort of implode and explode relationships, which aren't very good to do. So, this is about setting a boundary for yourself, creating a really clear container in getting really clear with what are the energies that matter to you. So some people go, "Oh, I want the money. Oh, I want the house. I want the health. I want the wealth." And then I always ask them, "Well, what do you think that's going to give you?" And they say joy. And I'm like, "Yeah, you got to choose joy first, right?" Or they say happiness, or they say security, right? And I'm like, you actually have to choose those energies first. And so when you're very clear on the energies that matter most to you, right? And I in my bedroom, I made a little board the other day and I was like, I'm going to write down all the energies and I'm going to look at it every day. The energies that are really matter to me. And then I'm also going to be aware of the energies I don't want to have around, right? That aren't really part of my world in my container. And that's when you have the boundary. And so, really, it's not a boundary with another, it's a boundary with yourself so that you are practicing having a container that serves you creating your best life. Right. And your best life might be living on the beach, surfing, making minimum wage, and you're just happy. Right. Your best life might be traveling around the world with a backpack. Right. Your best life might be raising 3 or 4 or 5 children at home. I have some really, really good friends, and their purpose and what lights them up is raising their kids. And so this isn't about what anyone else thinks success should look like. This is like, what is your version? Not the external result version, but what's the internal version where there's a sense of satisfaction in your world that you stop looking for the external results and you start paying attention to how do you feel. So about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I started to focus solely not on the external success when it came to business and life, but the internal. Am I waking up happy? Am I fulfilled? Am I satisfied? Am I doing the best that I can do every day? And some days, right, it can be a little challenging, and that's okay, right? It's not about, it's like I say, you wouldn't, I think you get like, for me, I would get sick of living on an island that was, between 90 and 95 degrees, sunny every day, 365 days a year. I live in the mountains. I live in Aspen. We've got, more or less four seasons, kind of summer and winter, but we also have an incredible fall. Our spring we call mud season. And I love seasons, right? And so there is a season to everything in your life. There is a season for joy. There is a season for grief. There's a season for letting go. There's a season for evolving. And sometimes all those seasons can interact with each other all at once. And so the way to start to be curious about your own boundaries, right? Not your boundaries with another, but your boundaries with yourself. And here's an example. So if you say you want to save money for a house, but every day you're going out and you're spending money and you're spending money and you're spending money and you're not putting any money in savings, you're not putting any money in an investment account, you're constantly spending, then you are crossing your own boundary, right? So there's two options. You can either say you don't want to buy a house, you don't want to save up money for a house, right? That's one option. Or the second option, if you really want that house, then you have to start making different choices. So your boundary with yourself. And when you get really clear with what you desire, what matters to you, you will start to sort of recognize that you've created the safe container for yourself. And so, why do we talk about boundaries? Because I believe that it is essential for each person to become so self aware with themselves, right, of what matters to them so that they can live their best life. But when we're not clear, right? I know for me in my 20s and even in my 30s, I was like, oh, let me please this person. Oh, let me do this job. Oh, let me do this. But I was always doing it for somebody else. And yes, I was successful and I was good at what I did. I sold real estate. I was good at it. I was a telemarketer. I was good at it. I was landscape architect. I was good at it. I, went to grad school for psychology. I was good at it. I taught dance classes. I was good at it. Like I've had a lot of versions and all of them served a purpose. But I knew at a very young age that I was meant to work with energy in some capacity. I just didn't trust my gut enough to know that I could create my own world, right? I could create my own world. And so when you get really clear on your boundaries with yourself, you start to create your own world. And when you start to create your own world, you create a really clear container for the universe to give you exactly what you desire. But if you're constantly crossing your boundaries, right? Like if you're saying, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. And look, it's not about a diet. It's not about exercise. If you're constantly saying, I want to lose weight, but you are constantly judging your body as not enough and you're constantly stressed out about your body, that is the boundary. And so I've worked with people all around the world from all walks of life, all different body shapes, all different body types. And what changes people's bodies quicker than anything else is creating a container where they commit to not judging themselves, not judging their body, not judging food, not judging what they wear, right? Not judging what they eat. And also then working on calming the nervous system, lowering the cortisol, connecting and creating a solid, intimate relationship with their body. And that's when their body starts to change. So whether it's weight or pain or a diagnosis that they've been struggling with, that's when we create that right, that safe container. And so the boundary isn't in the action. The boundary is in the mental sort of world that you create when nobody else is around. And, when we don't create those clear containers, we get trapped in people pleasing. And people pleasing means we worry about what other people think. We don't take risks because we fear that others will judge us. I work with a lot of people who sometimes get scared to take a risk, to follow their heart, to follow their passion, to dive into healing or energy work or starting a business because they're afraid that they'll sort of isolate themselves from their family. They're afraid their family won't approve because their family's been used to them playing a particular role, and then they want to start to change that role. And so then they end up living in their family's container, not in their own container. And then their boundaries are always crossed. And when you are not knowingly stuck in people pleasing, it can lead to anxiety, it can lead to high cortisol levels, it can lead to a slow metabolism, it can lead to hyper or hypothyroid, it can lead to kidney stuff, dizziness, lethargy, fatigue. I've watched a lot of people who start to change their people pleasing tendencies, and then they end up changing their chronic fatigue. And so nobody knows better about you than you. And I want you to start to consider that perhaps a boundary is something really different for you, right? It's a clear container. And do you actually want the life you say you want? Or do you need to change what you're asking for? And if so, then what are the core values that you really admire? Like, I'll give you an example. So there's a ton of core values, and you can Google it, right? You can Google core values, and it'll give you a list of like 100 different core values. And I invite all of you to pick maybe 5 to 6 to 7 core values that you're like, these feel like they represent my essence now. And look, that could change in 6 months. It could change in a year. My core values a year, 2, 3 years ago, very different than what they are now. Right? Before I was chasing success, and now one of my values is connection, relationship. And so one of those connections that is the most important to me is my relationship with my son. And so I made different choices in my business so that I had more time to be with him, and I was less focused on go, 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 go. And what that did is it created a sense of relief in my world. It changed the energy from which I sort of worked with and in my business. It changed how I hired people. It changed how I worked with my staff. And I got to be in this place where there was more this energy of peace, of calm, of surrender, right? And so I would encourage anyone listening to do some research, to do some self introspection, and consider what it would be like if you gave yourself permission to investigate and be curious around what your core values are. And when you get those core values, right, you can take it a step further and sort of look at the actions that would support your core values, the belief systems that would support your core values, the feelings and emotions that would support your core values. And that is your clue to sort of your boundary with yourself, your container, right? Your container that will help you grow, develop, evolve, and become the best version of yourself. But it also allows your nervous system to calm down because now you're not at the effect of everyone else, right? One of the things, and I did this show, I don't know, a couple, maybe like 6, 7, 8 episodes ago, we talked about independence and sort of the downside of independence. And I had no idea because I'd prided myself on being independent. But I realized, oh, sorry. Can you guys hear that? There's yeah, noise. We'll take a break and then I'll close those windows. So I prided myself on independence. So why don't we take a break? I'm going to close the windows. You'll hear from some special messages and we'll be back right after with some clearer sound.
Times TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Catherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to katherinemcintosh.com. KatherineMcintosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times Magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Okay, so we're back a little bit quieter. We had some construction workers outside with their saws. I don't know if you could hear it, but it was quite distracting for me. So we're getting back into the topic of boundaries, right? A topic that I really resisted for a long time because I saw the dark side of it. I saw how people abused it. I saw how when they tried to set up boundaries with another without having boundaries with themselves, they would, get in toxic interactions, their life would blow up, they'd be constantly sort of looking for that next dopamine hit in external relationships, but they didn't have a good relationship with themselves. And so at the end of the day, the most important thing is to have a solid relationship with yourself where you know what's true for you, where you're willing to be curious, where you're willing to go on adventures, where you're willing to get things wrong, but you're trusting you instead of handing over your sort of life into somebody else dictating what they think you should do, right? And so before the break, we started talking about independence. And I was talking about how I had no idea. I had prided myself on being independent most of my life. And on some level, being overly independent can be a people pleasing tendency because you don't want to upset someone else. So, as a little girl in a Irish Catholic Midwestern family, I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and in that family, I was taught to be very polite, always say please and thank you, and I was taught not to inconvenience anyone. And so that set me up to really just rely on myself on some level, but on another level, I kind of had no idea who I was. And I was lost for many years, spent many years being extremely depressed, many years battling body dysmorphia and an eating disorder. And I still kind of have body dysmorphia. Like I look at pictures, I'm like, I look like that. I do not get it, right? I got on the scale the other day and I was like, oh my God, that's the lowest I've weighed in like since I was 15 years old. And so I'm telling you all this because when you get really clear on your boundaries with yourself, what you value, what's important to you, what you want to create as your life, the energies and the emotions and the feelings and the sensations that would support that, the actions that would support that, you start to create a really clear container where you stop being at the effect of other people's opinions, of other people's judgments. You stop even being at the effect of your own judgments. Because the truth is, we can't get rid of judgments. We can't get rid of doubt. We can't get rid of fear, right? We can't get rid of shame, but we can change our relationship to it because there's 8 billion people on the planet. And shame is prevalent, fear is prevalent, doubt is prevalent, insecurity is prevalent. All right. I've worked with some of the most world-renowned people in the world, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they have insecurities. Who knew? Everyone in the world has some form of an insecurity. And guess what? That's okay. Doesn't make you bad, doesn't make you wrong, and it certainly doesn't prevent you from being successful as long as you are willing to do the work, to get curious about how to develop your sense of knowing with yourself. And when you do that, it's really easy to listen to your intuition. It's really easy to follow and trust your gut. And when you do that, your body starts to regulate, your nervous system starts to relax, your gut microbiome can sort of regenerate itself. One of my favorite interesting facts that I love about the physical body is that every 24 hours, 864 million new cells leave, or 864 million new cells come into the body, and simultaneously 864 million old cells die and they leave the body, right? And so if you are in a physical body, that means that every 24 hours you literally have the chance to have a brand new body, to have a brand new outlook on life. But what do? We go, that's not working. And so those 864 million new cells that are like, woohoo, we have a new chance at life and a new chance at new energy and a new chance to sort of repair and restore and recover, because the body's natural state of existence is to heal and to heal itself. And our organs regenerate, our skin regenerates, our cellular tissue regenerates, our brain, even if we use it properly, if we work with it, right? If you meditate, there's all these sort of benefits to recognizing that you have the chance every single day to exist in a new body with new thoughts and new ideas that have nothing to do with your past, have nothing to do with your insecurities, have nothing to do with fear and doubt. Right. And when you do that, you can begin to transform at a rate that most people go, what the heck are you doing? What the heck are you doing? And so my intention for today's show was to invite you to consider that perhaps there are some things that you can do to set up a really clear container for yourself, for what you want for your life. And it's about then paying attention to the feelings, the sensations, the energies, matching those feelings, sensations, and energies with actions. So, for example, I know that one of the actions that supports my daily living is meditation, right? Another one is journaling. Another one is drinking 2 glasses of water first thing in the morning, taking my vitamins first thing in the morning, right? Brushing my teeth, washing my face, getting connected to my dreams. Walking is also another ritual that I try to do on a daily basis. In the wintertime, I end up skiing, and in the summertime, I end up walking or hiking. And so when you have this really clear container, your body then starts to feel safe, right? The universe then can hear those dreams, and you start to change the way that not only you see what's possible for yourself, but you start to see differently in the world. You start thinking different. You start having bigger dreams. You start connecting with people that you've always wanted to connect with. And the only person responsible for your life is you, right? Easier said than done sometimes. And so, one of the other things that I think is really valuable in this process is to cultivate an unwavering belief in yourself. So I did an Instagram video probably a month ago when I was traveling for work, and I was in my hotel room after a long day, and I got to my room and I just laid on the bed and sort of randomly did this little video, and it was talking about how when I'm working with clients and they hire me when they're faced with something that feels impossible, and I go in and I see if I can create a different possibility. Right. So whether it's family dynamics or business dynamics or contracts, right, or divorces, and I try to hold a different outcome for the people that I work with. And when I'm doing that, I have this unwavering belief that it's possible. Right. And then I did this video and I was like, wow, I'm getting a little bit better at this unwavering belief in my life that it's possible. But it's very fascinating that most of us will sort of support and believe in someone else more than we'll support and believe in ourselves. And when you start to get fierce and sort of like with yourself about you are whatever it takes, you are going to commit, right, to navigating your life. Whatever it takes, you are not going to give up your belief. And, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this. It's, the head and the heart congruence. And so most people are really clear on their heart's desire, right? They want the relationship, they want the satisfaction, they want the freedom, they want the adventure, they want the aliveness, maybe they want the sexy body, right? They get really clear on their heart's desire, but something in their head goes, you can't have that. Oh, those last 30 years that you've been trying to have that and you can't have it. Yeah, you haven't been able to have it. And the reason why most people haven't been able to have it, maybe you resonate with this in some area of your life, is because your belief system, your unwavering faith in yourself says, yeah, that's not possible for you. And the quickest way to get you into manifesting the life of your dreams, right? That clear container, that boundary with yourself, right, is to change your unwavering belief in yourself. And so stop giving credence to doubt. Stop giving credence to fear. Fear is going to always be there. The difference is you can now empower yourself to relate to fear differently and go, oh, that's just fear, right? And fear and excitement, right, on the Richter scale, the vibrational scale, they're the exact same vibration. Fear and excitement, exact same vibration. And 99% of the time, when we have the exact same vibration, if it's an experience that we've never done before, we go, oh, I'm afraid. But if it's an experience that we've done before that we have a positive association with, we go, oh my God, I'm excited, right? Like, I'm going to my favorite artist at the Sphere and I'm excited to go to that concert, right? Excitement, because there's a positive association. And yet 99% of the time when we don't have an association with something that's new for us, with something that we're doing that we've never done before, we go, oh my God, I'm scared. I'm scared. But the truth is, more often than not, that vibration is actually excitement. And you've just been trained to label it as fear because, quote unquote, it's an unknown. And so when you get clear on your boundaries, on your core values, and you're like, okay, I value adventure, I value spontaneity, I value intimacy, I value truth, I value integrity, whatever your sort of core values are, you then get to discern in your own world. You have this safe container in which taking a risk no longer feels scary as long as it's in alignment with those core values. And so then the unknown future becomes, oh my gosh, it's exciting to start a new adventure. It's exciting to move to a new place. It's exciting to, sell the old house and buy a new one. It's exciting to start a new relationship. And so for all of you out there listening, what if the boundary that you need to set with yourself is to get really clear on what you value, get really clear on what's important to you, and then also get really clear on what's not important to you? And so I can't take credit for these 5 questions that I'm about to give you, and I believe I gave them in a previous show, but they deserve being repeated again because I think they're really valuable. And I can't take credit for all of them because some of these came actually from an interview with Robin Sharma. He was on Lewis Howe's School of Greatness, 2 men that I've had the pleasure of meeting personally. And so the Robin delivered 4 of the 5 questions that I'm going to share with you. And I believe that these 5 questions can really sort of change the game. It can help you get clear on the energies you value, on the life that you'd like to create, because you know what? If you desire it, it's possible to have it. The universe would not give you that heart's desire, that excitement, right? If it didn't believe that you're capable of having it. The challenge comes, and this is where the boundaries come in, you have to begin to believe it. So you start setting up a boundary for yourself that sort of sets this container of you're not going to let sort of negative energies in or toxic energies in or whatever it is. So before I dive into the 5 questions, I'll give you an example of this in my life. For 20 plus years, I lost and gained over 2,500 pounds, not kidding, right? I spent almost $1 million trying to fix my body, right? Fix myself. I basically went on every diet you could possibly imagine. I did every exercise program. I was like the late night infomercial girl in the 90s, buying the Thigh Master and the Bowflex and the what was that Health Rider thing. I was buying like the green tea extracts and like the pills. I mean, I was desperate. But here's the deal. What was I doing? I was looking for an external solution instead of changing my relationship with myself on the inside. And so I went on this 20-year, pretty painful journey. And it wasn't until I created a boundary, a container for myself, and I woke up one day and said, what if I put myself on a year-long no judgment diet? And it was then that I had the revelation that I started to experience freedom and that I started to fall in love for real with my body for the first time in my life. And it wasn't the action that I needed to create a boundary around. It was the belief and the thought. And I had to change what was up here. So I had to stop judging my body. I had to stop feeling sorry for myself. I had to stop feeling like I'm a victim to a slow metabolism when I didn't have a slow metabolism. I just had a whole lot of judgment towards me, which slowed my body down, right? And so each of you can today, in this moment, change your life by changing what you focus on. Okay. And if I can do it, not kidding you, a Midwestern girl, soccer player, athlete, who didn't really believe in herself and who didn't know any better, right? My parents didn't know any better. And so I'm raising my son different, right? I'm raising a next generation and I'm empowering him to know that his decisions now matter, his choices now matter, his energies that he focuses on now matters. And so if I can do it, you can do it. And so here are the 5 questions, and I would encourage you to take out a notebook, and I journal every day, right? I take my time and I write down these 5 questions. I use 1 page each day, and then I answer them. And so here they are. And most of these are from Robin Sharma. So thank you, Robin. So, what are you grateful for? What are your wins? What are you letting go of? Number 4 is what would you like to focus on or energize today? And so when I'm writing those down, I'm focusing on the feelings and the sensations. And like, I don't want to be focusing on what isn't working in my life. I want to be focusing on what is working in my life. And so that's why that boundary is so important, because so many people think that they need to work on their spouse or their partner or their boss, or they need their city or their town to change, or they need the rules to change. It's like, no, focus on you. Create a boundary within yourself that creates a safe container for your dreams so that you get really clear. And I always tell people, like, look at how much you're focusing on them not changing instead of focusing on you. And so I recently this week was like, what if you started an appreciation journal for your spouse? And they were like, oh my God, you're so right. And it was amazing. I was working with their physical body, and they've really struggled their whole life with a very tight sort of rib cage. They have trouble breathing. In fact, they don't breathe half the time. I mean, they're breathing, but they're not consciously breathing. It's like holding breath, almost breathing. And in 20 minutes, we changed their entire diaphragm. We changed their parasympathetic nervous system, and they got off the table and was like, oh my God, I can be grateful for my spouse. I'm like, yeah, that's going to change the energy of your relationship. And they were like, oh, eureka moments. And so, my friends, this is about going inward, focusing on you, knowing that no one else can change you for you, right? And you can't change anybody. Like, why bother? It's a waste of energy. And so, this 4th question is, what would you like to focus on and energize today? Very rarely are you going to write down, oh, I'd like to energize judgment today. Oh, I'd like to energize toxic interactions, right? Oh, I'd like to energize feeling fat and ugly, right? Oh, I'd like to energize feeling broke and poverty stricken. No, when you start putting and pouring your energy into the possibilities and the energies and the sensations and the emotions and the feelings you want to focus on, guess what? More of that starts to come in your world and your life will change. And these 5 questions, I'll give you the 5th in a second. These 5 questions are also a window into your boundary with yourself, your clear container with who you want to be. Okay. So I'll repeat them and then we'll do question number 5. Number 1, what are you grateful for? Number 2, what are your wins? Number 3, what are you letting go of? Right. So usually on my list is like judgment, fear, comparison, wishing I was farther along than I am, judging myself, right? So number 3, number 4, number 3 is what are you letting go of? Number 4 is what do you want to focus on? What are you focusing on or energizing today? Right? And then number 5, and I did this for a couple years, probably 3, 4 years ago, I started this practice, and I would do it for like 30 days at a time, and then I forget about it, and then I come back to it and do it for 30 days at a time, is write down your ideal day. And it was really fascinating to me. I've been doing this a long time. And yesterday was the first time that I looked at my ideal day and I was like, wow, I've never been willing to write that before. And it's not what you think, because I've been the big dreamer. So I'm like, oh, like all the big dreams that I have gone into my ideal day, right? All the places in the world that I'm flying on a plane to and visiting and having champagne and dinner on top of the Eiffel Tower, like all those things, private, by the way, not with anybody else. um, because I don't always like big crowds. But yesterday I wrote in my ideal day, like that I'm at home in Aspen and that I have a day where I have nothing to do. And I can go for a walk in nature. I can take a nap in the middle of the day. I can take a bath. I can connect with a friend, like just this. And I was like, wow, I've never been willing to write that that's one of my ideal days, like doing nothing, taking time for me, maybe journaling, right? I'm always thinking about moving and exploring and expanding. And so when you get into journaling about this, it will reveal a lot to you about who you are, what you want, how you want to create your life, and what's next. So if today's show resonated with you, and if you're like, oh my gosh, Catherine, I want more, I have created this online course, which also includes weekly live coaching sessions with me. It's a pretty amazing class, but we have a wait list. And if you would like to skip the wait list and go straight to a free masterclass I created, right, called the Life Shift Awakening System, because it is all about awakening to your best self, not comparing yourself to anyone else. You are invited. We've got the link in the description show notes, but just in case, you can go to catherinemcintosh.com. And I believe the link, let me just make sure I have it exactly as it should be, is catherinemcintosh.com. And then it's just /LSA SMC, all capitals, LSA SMC, right? So the Life Shift Awakening System, right? And we've got a free masterclass for you if you'd like to skip the wait list and just go straight to this amazing free masterclass that will dive deeper into getting you in alignment with your dreams, with your truth. We do a lot of exercises around core values, around actions, beliefs, and what's happening for people in this course is quite phenomenal. And so if you want to skip the wait list, you want to check out the masterclass, you are invited to do so. So, as always, my friends, I am honored and don't take it for granted that you join me every week. For those of you that listen regularly, thank you for listening regularly. If you've been curious how you can connect to me, every week I show up and we also invite live callers to call in. If you have a question, a curiosity, someplace in your life you're stuck and you would like sort of some information that will help you seek out what's actually true for you, you're welcome to call in live every week. So thank you so much for listening. If this show inspired you today, please feel free to share it with someone. Feel free to share it on social media. Feel free to tag a friend. Feel free to write us a comment and let us know how it's going for you. So, as always, I honor and adore you. Thank you for being here. May you start really enjoying the process of becoming the best version of you every day. Until next time, we'll see you next week.
Catherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.